welcome to Dad That Cooks. I'm John.
I'm Jack.
And today we're making Manchester Tart. Who ever heard of Manchester Tart? Well, what game were we playing?
Top Trump.
Top Trumps. And which Top Trumps were we playing?
We were playing like a cakey Top Trump.
A cakey Top Trumps. Yes, it was a Top Trumps with all lots of different types of cakes. And one of the cakes in the Top Trumps was Manchester Tart. Well, it looked very nice, didn't it? So we did some Googling and we found out that it's actually a really lovely raspberry and coconut and custard tart. So that's what we're going to make. What you need to make this is a nice loose bottom flan tin and some baking beads, because we're going to do some blind baking of our pastry. And then we need some seedless raspberry jam, a small punnet of fresh raspberries, 6 tablespoons of desiccated coconut. What have we got there? That's half a litre, 500 millilitres of whole milk, which I've put in a saucepan, ready for making our custard. We then need some vanilla bean paste or essence, 5 egg yolks that I've separated already, 125 grams of golden caster sugar, 4 tablespoons of corn flour, and a big pot of double cream, at least 400 millilitres. So basically it's an egg custard tart. That's what we're going to make, but it's got super lovely raspberries in it and coconut. Sounds super yummy, doesn't it? And Granny and Grandad, I think, are the most excited, aren't they?
Well, I am.
You are too? Good. So what we also have here is short crust pastry that we've taken out the fridge about half an hour before we use it. That just lets it relax a little bit, and it's much easier to roll out. It's just one roll, a standard roll of short crust. What you want to do is you want to see how big your tin is and just see if you need to roll it out a little bit wider. You usually do. What you want to do is you want to have to make sure that it comes up to the edge of the flan tin. Before you start, make sure you put your oven on at 200 degrees. We're going to do some blind baking now. That's where we make a pastry case ready for the tart to go in. We don't actually bake the tart. It's a set custard primarily. It's not baked, but the pastry case has to be baked. So we need to do a little bit of rolling with the rolling pin.
Yay!
Yay! Now, how good are you at rolling with the rolling pin?
Which way should I do that?
That way, that way.
I'm not really good at rolling.
See, it's a little bit sticky, isn't it? So all we need to do
It's
is basically start in the middle and just roll it away. We're only adding a couple of extra centimetres on the short end.
That's not a
I actually leave it on the greaseproof paper, because you're only going to pull it off again. So what we need to do then is I need to get a little knife out of here, Mr. Moo. Should have thought of that before, shouldn't I?
There's a little hole in there.
A little hole.
In there.
Yes. So I'm just going to cut the end off there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push this into our tart tin. Now, the good thing about pastry is it's quite forgiving. It's quite forgiving and very easy to get off the paper and put in your tin.
And it's yummy.
So we have pushed it into the tart tin. Make sure it goes right into the corners. You can see actually it's very forgiving. If you get a thin bit or a little hole or a little tear, just press some extra pastry into it. It's quite good. Make sure before you put the pastry in that you've greased it well, because you don't really want it sticking to the tart tin. Then what you need is some greaseproof paper. Before you put the greaseproof paper in, take a fork and just prick around the base of the pastry, and then place the parchment inside the baking paper. Now, this is going to be blind baked. Now, we hear a lot about blind baking on a Great British Bake Off, don't we?
Yeah.
Now, we're watching Junior Bake Off at the minute, aren't we?
Yeah, I like Junior Bake.
You do. Now, they do pastry week and bread week, cake week. What's your favourite?
Pastry week.
Pastry week. They do some pies in that, don't they, sometimes? I like cake week as well. It's really good fun to watch. Do you think you'll be on it one day?
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe, maybe not. Oh, we'll see. One day, maybe, one day. So what you do is you put that there and you sprinkle on, not the whole tin of baking beads. All they're doing is they are just weighting down the pastry.
That looks like 100.
Oh, I think it might be more than 100. What they're doing is they're just weighting down the pastry to make sure it doesn't rise up. And we're going to put this in the oven for 15 minutes. Let it settle and then bring it out the oven after 15 minutes. You take all the baking beads out. Careful, they're really, really hot. Take the baking beads out, take the baking paper off, and then put it in the oven for another 4 minutes. So we're doing 19 minutes in total, 15 like this, and 4 without the baking beads and the parchment. And we'll be right back in a moment. So the pastry case is baking, blind baking now, and we're going to do the custard while that's doing that. Make sure you set your timer for 15 minutes. Fresh custard is absolutely gorgeous, and this is a basic fresh custard that we're making. When it's cooled, we will mix it with some whipped cream, and that will become the main filling for the pie. I'm going to show you now how to do a standard custard. What we have is 500 millilitres of full fat milk. We've got our 5 egg yolks here, and as I said, 125 grams of golden caster sugar, 4 tablespoons, not teaspoons, I don't know what spoon I'm talking about, tablespoons of corn flour to thicken it, and some vanilla paste or extract. Firstly, thing to do is to put the milk on. Not quite the highest amount because you don't want it scalding hot, you just want to warm it up. In here we have the 5 egg yolks, and what we're going to do is we're going to pour, I'll pour this one, you pour that one. You pour in there the sugar.
All of it?
Yeah.
I hope I
And then pour in there, yeah, that's, oh, there we are, well done. Oh no, it needs a little bit more. That's it. Yeah, there we are, that's it. And then we need a teaspoon of vanilla essence.
I thought you said tablespoon.
No, this is a teaspoon.
Oh.
It was tablespoons of the corn flour. And a teaspoon of that. Now it'll be really stiff at first, but basically what you want to do is you want to mix this all together so it forms a paste. That's kind of what you're aiming for. Just give it a good stir. You want a wooden spoon. Now my secret to custard is to use 1 jug like this. You want a nice, really good sized glass jug. I can't tell you how valuable that can be. A really good sized glass jug is invaluable in my opinion.
What is invaluable?
Invaluable means it's very important.
Does corn flour taste like corns? Because it's called corn flour.
Well, it is a type of flour, yes, from a cornfield.
So is that why it's called corn flour?
Yeah. So what you want is like a really thick cream. That's the consistency you're going for. And then since you've done that, the milk should be a little bit warmer. You can just start to see steam coming off it. So what we do, we turn that off. We pour the milk into the egg very, very slowly. Giving it a good stir.
It's hot.
It is hot.
And it...
Now you can see why you need a big jug. And then we pour that back into the saucepan.
It looks like a pancake mixture.
Well, do you know, it's very similar to pancake mixture because you've got milk, you've got a little bit of flour, you've got lots of eggs. You like pancakes, don't you, for your, is it Sunday breakfast? It is Sunday breakfast.
And that's tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. We're filming this on Saturday. Now, Jack, what's the golden rule of custard? Don't stop stirring.
I was going to say, don't stop heating it.
Don't stop stirring. So what you've got, it's a medium to high heat you put it on, not the highest though, and just keep stirring. Just keep stirring, just keep stirring. We're having movie night later, aren't we? We're going to watch the Muppets. But we do like Finding Dory, don't we? And Finding Nemo. So we're warming the custard And we're stirring it all the time, just gently. That's all you need to do. It smells delicious, doesn't it? Now, you don't like normal custard, you like chocolate custard. But are you going to have some of this Manchester Tart?
Maybe if it has coconuts in.
Right, it's going to have coconut and raspberry, and I think you like both of those, don't you?
And I like raspberry jam and double cream.
So, when it starts going thick, it'll happen really, really quickly. You've got to keep a real close eye on it. Turn the heat down or even turn it off. Keep stirring vigorously, and that will give you a really nice smooth custard. And you can see now we've got a really lovely smooth custard there, see? A couple of little bumps, but that's okay because it's going to go into the pastry case.
It sounds sloppy.
It does sound sloppy, doesn't it? That's the kind of thing Maddie would do. Did you hear the custard slopping in the pan? So what we do is we get our old jug back and we are going to put the custard in the jug that we mixed it in. Some recipes tell you use a clean bowl, but I really can't be bothered. I've never had any problem doing it this way. Like I say, make sure you've got a good sized glass jug.
That was a funny noise.
So that's a really super lovely custard. Now, secret ingredient or a secret bit of kit to make sure you don't get a skin on the custard. Jack, can I have the cellophane?
It's not a food.
No, it's not a food, but what you do is you don't put it over the jug like that. What you actually do is you press it down into the top of the custard. Like that, all the way around.
It's wobbling like a jelly.
It is wobbling like a jelly, and that's exactly how we want it. We want it to be quite a thick set egg custard. So that's all on top of there. That will stop the skin forming. What you do now is you leave this out for about half an hour, let it cool a little bit, then you put it in the fridge for another half an hour, and that's when we'll come together and we'll make the rest of the cake. So don't forget your blind baking your pastry. Make sure you don't forget that. Make sure this goes in the fridge, and we'll see you shortly.
Yes.
So just a quick note about when you bring the pastry case out the oven. You can see here, I've had to put my baking beads on here because they do stay hot for quite a while, so I've put them on there. You can see the outside is nice and golden, the inside is a little bit lighter, but you can still see that it's had a good toasting. What you want to do is make sure, oh, there's Cookie sneezing in the background, our doggy. Make sure it's cooled completely in the tin, and then pop it out and place it on the final plate. And we'll be ready in a moment to do the filling. So our pastry case has cooled. We've turned it out. It looks lovely on a big plate. As well as a big jug, it's also very useful having a big plate for things like this. Now what I've done with the cream is that I've whisked it with the electric whisk until it's nice and stiff. And we have a nice stiff cream there. Now you won't actually need all of this for the tart. Some of it you'll actually use for serving. What I've got is the custard out of the fridge and another bowl. We're going to put the custard in the bowl.
It looks like jelly.
It does look a little bit like jelly, doesn't it? It does look like a little bit like that, doesn't it? And what we're going to do, we're going to add a couple of really good dollops of the cream.
Are we going to mix it?
Yes, so do you want to mix it? I'll hold the bowl.
Yeah.
It's a bit stiff, isn't it? But once you start going, there we are. And see, it's getting a little bit paler. It's getting a little bit lighter, isn't it? Right.
It feels very light.
It does. Well, that's how it's meant to be.
Smooth.
That's how it's meant to be. So what you're doing, mix it a good vigorous stir like that. So you've got a creamy custardy mix like that. Lovely. Now,
That smells nice.
I'm going to put that there for now. And
That
what we're going to do,
smells nice.
I know it does, doesn't it? Very custardy. Now what you need is your jam here. And what we're going to do, we're just going to spread the jam.
Very squishy jam.
It is, yes. You want to layer a jam at the bottom.
A layer?
You probably need 2 big dollops. That's one of my favourite words there, is dollop.
Did it?
Dollop of cream.
My favourite word is couple.
Couple. Oh. I like that. Who has a dab of cream when he's having donuts and cakes with the doctor?
Mr. Skinny.
Mr. Skinny. We like the Mr. Men, don't we?
Yeah.
So there we are. We've got a good layering of jam.
What's it squeaking?
Just a very thin layer of jam, you can see there.
Why was it squeaking?
I don't know. Just, it's a squeaky tart. Right, now we need to put half of this in there. So can you put half of that in there? No, pick it up like this and sprinkle it around like this. Sprinkle it all around.
Looks delicious.
It does. So this is the coconut. You want a good sprinkling of coconut.
Very small pinches of coconut.
Yeah, that's it. Very small
My hands
pinches
are
of
covered in
coconut.
My hands are covered in
Are they? That's the best thing to do when your hands are covered in coconut. So I've put half the coconut on the jam. The other half of the coconut is going to go in a dry frying pan, like that. Let me move that out of the way. A dry frying pan, just to toast it off. Maximum heat, doesn't need to be in there for too long. Now what we need to do is we need to pick some raspberries and place them upside down in the tart. Like this. You want nice...
That's the big one.
Well, that's good. Big raspberries are good because it means that they poke out the top of the tart.
Can I put one there?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one more
One more. Where are you going to put it?
there and you put one there.
Like that. Shall I do that?
Yeah. Looks good.
Does look good.
There's a big space there.
Give that little toss there. And now what we do is we spoon the mixture over the top.
Yummy, delicious. There's still some cream in there.
I know. Spoon the cream over the top. This will go in the fridge to set for a little bit.
The cream looks like Philadelphia.
It does, doesn't it? Custard Philadelphia now. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Imagine custard Philadelphia.
What about chocolate Philadelphia?
Well, you can get chocolate Philadelphia. I'm surprised that Mummy doesn't have that because she likes Philadelphia and she likes chocolate.
Yeah, me too. There's a bit of raspberry there.
Yeah.
You can see.
So you're just pushing it down into the corners. Make sure there's no gaps around the edge.
You're making me hungry.
We're having this for lunch.
No,
Dessert tomorrow.
not lunch, dinner.
No, lunch tomorrow. We'll have this. Sunday lunch. Now, you'll see the coconut is toasting.
It's like jumping beans.
No, it's only because I'm moving. So that's all you need to do. Leave it like that. Leave it in the pan. Turn it off to cool. And we're going to put the tart in the fridge. And then at the very end, we're going to put the toasted coconut that's cooled on top of the set pudding.
Maybe put like some more raspberries.
And we'll put a few more raspberries on top. So we'll see you in a moment. So this has been in the fridge for about half an hour just to set. Very, very easy. Now we just need to finish it off. And the way we finish it off is you get the rest of your raspberries and just place them nicely, or not so nicely, in the middle. Again, upside down.
Why do we put them upside down?
Because it looks a little bit nicer than if they're on their side.
Yeah, but if they're like, you see the top of them, I think that might be nicer because then you get to see like a flower.
You might be right, yes. Now we've got our coconut here, haven't we, that's been toasting.
Yeah.
And now it's a little bit cooler. So just scrape up little bits. And like we did with the jam before, we sprinkle it on like this, all over. Make sure you get it on the tart and not round the edge. Like that, see it? You can put a little bit over the raspberries if you want.
Yeah, I like doing it.
So that's it, Manchester Tart. Lovely, wonderful, smells great, and we're going to put that in the fridge to set. Now you need about another hour for it to set properly. Best if you do it overnight, so make it the day before. Really super yummy. Now, usually we would be handing over to a friend of mine to do one of their own recipes, but it's just into the new year, it's just into January, and a couple of them are a little bit poorly. So, particularly Dean, if you're watching this, get well soon, mate. I can't wait for you to do another new video. Can we? We want to see what else he's going to make, don't we?
He's only done one thing so far.
He's only done one thing so far, but I bet Dean's got something else up his sleeve that he'd love to show us. So that's it. We hope you enjoyed that. That's Manchester Tart. We'll see you next time, won't we?
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye-bye.